Attention SMP artists, are you looking to take your business to the next level? It's time to fully systemize your studio for growth with the ultimate sales and marketing platform for SMP artists, HighLead. With HighLead, you get everything that you need to save time and effortlessly generate more consultations and bookings on autopilot. And guess what? HighLead is not just a system, but also one of the largest Google ad agencies in the world for SMP professionals. Imagine having a marketing strategy that's tailor-made for the SMP industry, driving high-quality leads right to your studio. Say goodbye to the struggle of finding the latest marketing trend. HighLead has you covered. Invested into your training? Check. Invested into your equipment and studio setup? Check. Now it's time to invest into your marketing strategy. Don't risk your marketing budget on anything else until you've experienced HighLead's growth system and Google Ads services. Visit GoHighLead.com today to book a free demo now and join the hundreds of SMP artists who've embraced HighLead to thrive in their businesses. On the free no-obligation demo call, a member of HighLead's team will answer all of your questions and help you unlock the potential of your SMP studio by getting you more bookings. Visit GoHighLead.com today.
Yo, if you're a tattooer, tattoo shop, or even a distributor, and you're looking to elevate your business, keep watching. Richie Bulldog here, founder of Hustle Butter. And if you don't know us, that's crazy. Hustle Butter is a premium line of tattoo products designed for in-process and is aftercare. Hustle Butter was created with the best artists in the world, so you know it's a top quality product. Artists love it, clients love it, everybody loves it. And the best part is you could sell Hustle Butter for a profit by becoming an authorized wholesaler. Now let me tell you why you should sign up today. Reduced pricing. Our authorized wholesalers get unbeatable prices on all of our Hustle Butter products. Use the product for yourself or sell it to your clients. You won't find these prices this good anywhere else. Extra revenue. You can sell our products to your clients for a profit, using that extra cash to help with the rent, business expenses, or anything you may need. Artists and shops around the world are selling Hustle Butter every single day. Dedicated support. You'll get assigned a dedicated Hustle Butter rep that you can reach out to anytime. They can help you learn about different products, assist with ordering, and more. No chatbots here, bro. $40 off your very first order. Try out our new products or subsidize your first order with our $40 credit. $40, that's sick. It only takes 60 seconds or less to sign up. Yeah, I told you it was easy. All you have to do is apply on our website, hustlebutter.com, under wholesale. It takes no more than 1 minute. Apply today, get connected to a dedicated Hustle Butter rep, and start making extra money. We're here to help today, tomorrow, and forever. You can't knock the hustle.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Scalp Solutions Podcast. Today, I have the pleasure of sitting down with a true force behind one of the most successful scalp micropigmentation businesses in the world, Mr. Keith Myers. As the co-founder and marketing mastermind of Scalp Micro USA, Keith has played a pivotal role in scaling the brand into a global leader. Now, he's stepping into a new chapter by launching his own marketing business aimed at helping others achieve similar success. In this episode, we're going to be getting into Keith's journey into the SMP space, the marketing strategies that fueled Scalp Micro USA's rise, and the insights he's bringing to his new venture. If you're an SMP artist looking to elevate your business, you do not want to miss this one. Let's welcome on to the show, Keith Myers.
Thanks, Dave. Excited to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me on.
Thank you for taking some time to jump on the podcast, my brother. I know we chit-chatted a little behind the scenes in your Folicule and Friends event.
That was fun, right? We ended up in red robes on a rooftop. So
that was a great event. And I looked at it and I was like, you know what? I now understand why these guys are as successful as they are, because you guys are able to pull off things like that. So
yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Commend you guys on that. But now we got you on the podcast, and we're gonna talk to the man that I feel, I don't know if you know this, Keith, but you're like that guy that people are like, we just want to ask him some questions. And it's not that no one has access to you. I think they just don't know how to get access to you, or maybe they're just like intimidated because they're like, you know what? I really want to ask Keith because we all know, like, I don't think there's anyone in this industry that doesn't know who you are and the role that you've played. I don't know if you know that. Do you?
It's funny because I thought for the longest time most people didn't, outside of the people that I've met within the circle. But I think now, I've been to so many events, with Matt and industry stuff that I feel like people do maybe know who I am. But I'm like the most least intimidating person ever.
Right?
You can come up to me and ask me anything.
Like when so I knew you were someone of influence in this industry, right? And this is just from the outside looking in, but I really knew when I went to your guys' event and I took like that funny photo of you that you were kind of like looking out, and I was like, if she doesn't look at me, the way Keith looks up at the stars, like, I don't want her. And I was expecting people to you just come back and be all like, ha ha ha, that's so funny, it's funny. They were all like, are you there? Like, what is he saying? Bro, take notes. Like, what apps are they using? What are this? And I was like, holy shit, like these people like really want to be able to tap into Keith's brain at some point. And we got you here today. So hopefully we can extract some valuable gems for our listeners. But again, thank you for being here. So I would like to start from the beginning. How did you connect with Matt Aiello and even get involved with the SMP industry?
Yeah, so Matt and I have known each other for a long time. We played like Little League baseball together when we were kids. And we became friends in middle school, high school, and kind of ran with the same friend circle, continued the really great friendship through college. And then shortly after college, Matt had gone to Europe and gotten a treatment done, and we really didn't know much about it. Like he didn't really share too much about it in the beginning, and so we kind of knew that he got something done, and that he was working with this company now, and it was kind of all beneath some layers that we didn't really know exactly what. And then at the same time, I was working for a marketing agency in the city, and about like a year went by, and we finally connected on a rooftop in Queens. And he was like, I think I'm going to go on my own. And he had mentioned, having interest in bringing on a partner. And I was just like, oh, what type of partner? It was very, I wasn't throwing my hat in the ring at all. We were just talking. And I was kind of explaining to him what I was doing for other companies and helping to get leads and helping to, build e-commerce businesses and drive sales. And he was like, well, that sounds like, what I'm interested in too. And it just kind of naturally, organically happened. And that was like more than 9 years ago, we started Scalp. And a little over 6-7 years ago, I left my job full time and came on board to grow and scale it together.
So before we even move forward, I need to know, who was the better baseball player, you or Matt?
I think we both sucked.
That's awesome. Okay,
we both didn't keep it up. Neither one of us played later.
He was like, yeah,
believe it or not, though, our practitioner, Greg Lorcella in Houston, is also someone that we grew up with. He's an excellent baseball player. So out of the three of us, he took the cake for sure.
He was all right, got you. And now, so when Matt got his SMP done, was that something that you guys kind of like gave him shit about, or is it one of those like, maybe we just don't say nothing because he was balding and we don't want to like piss him off?
It's so funny because we do bust chops a lot, like our group of friends, but with that thing, we just were like, oh, it looks good. Like, and that was kind of it. Like it wasn't even like it wasn't really like even brought up that much. He was like, yeah, I got this done. It looks good. And then that was it. And then, I was fascinated by it. You have to understand, this was 10 years ago. You wouldn't see this in the street. There was only a handful of people even doing this. So just the treatment itself was like so unique and so different. But it looked good, and he kind of kept his hair short as it was. So it wasn't like this drastic,
it wasn't, yeah,
Italian afro to this. You know what I mean? Like
a DA like comb over and like bald, and then now he's got a hairline.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you first started working on the marketing for Scalp Micro USA, what was your initial strategy, and how did you begin building momentum?
Yeah, back then it was all like website SEO. I mean, that was like our big focus. We didn't do barely any advertising. Social media wasn't what it is now. We had social media accounts for sure, but It was just photos on Instagram. Really wasn't anything too crazy. So we were big on SEO. That was kind of the world that I came from, was making sure that we're ranking, we're number one. Just had the one location, but we need to make sure that we were top presence, and search at that point was the biggest medium for marketing. In addition to that, we were also focused on press. So we had a really amazing press rep for us. She worked for L'Oreal and she did some big projects. And so we worked with her, and the combination of the two, of doing SEO, making a great website that was easy, frictionless, informative, because nobody knew what this was, plus getting some press, was kind of the foundation of what we did. Then Matt started a YouTube channel, and that ended up being a big kind of early thing for us. Was we had a good YouTube channel, great traction. And then after those three things of organic search, press, and organic YouTube, then we started playing with, okay, let's add a little bit more to social media strategy. Let's dive into Google ads only. We just did Google ads for a few years. I mean, that was kind of the foundation of how we started.
So I can't imagine with a procedure that was so new and pretty much unheard of, that you faced some sort of challenge when it came to marketing, right? Because this is now a service that's almost unheard of, and it's like, okay, how do we push this out? Like, were there any challenges at all that you faced? And if you did, like, what'd you do to overcome them?
Yeah, our biggest challenge for the first, I would say, like 6 years was just the fact that no one knew that this existed. So it's very different now. Now there's a lot of competition, so you have to differentiate yourself from yourself and the 5 other people in your city. Back then, it was like, how do we get people to understand that this even exists? Like, how do we get this to be in the same equation as hair transplants? And so that was the challenge. It was education. Now you'll get people that still are like, oh, okay, yeah, this is like similar to hair tattoo, and they know a lot about it. No one knew anything back then. Like, they were like, I saw some of your YouTube videos and I thought this was cool. Like, what is this? So we had to do a lot of education. We focused a ton on educational content on YouTube. And we had a wide range of search terms that we were targeting, just because there were so many different ways that people were looking for this, because no one really knew, like, scalp micropigmentation. It was like hair tattoo, scalp tattoo, micropigmentation for hair. It was ridiculous. It was just so much that was out there that we had to narrow in, educate, and that was our focus. That was definitely the biggest obstacle. It still is, but not as much as it was years ago.
Now that you guys are a household name, right? Scalp Micro USA, what do you think were the key marketing moves that really propelled the brand to global recognition?
Yeah, I mean, you can look back at a few big things for sure, but truthfully, I think it's just an accumulation of a lot of different things over a multiple year span. I mean, just recently, you look, about during like COVID, we started up our TikTok account, and that was like dormant for a year. Nothing happened. And then all of a sudden, after a year and a half of posting every single day, then we started getting a lot of traction, and now we have a really good channel. It's one of the biggest in the industries. But that didn't happen necessarily from like one video. It happened from a multitude of work over and over and over again. But there were some big things that we did see that really helped our business. So we were in BuzzFeed. We were in GQ.
Yeah, that was huge.
Yeah, BuzzFeed was a big one. We also had a feature on Vice with the Yes Man, which was this guy who would go and get things done to his body. Those are big. We were nominated for a Webby for that, which was awesome. And so there were definitely pivotal, like, huge moments that people were like, okay, I now see you on this. This is where I found you. And that definitely helped with the recognition. But, those big things were important. It really was just years of, Matt doing content on YouTube, like in the 500 square foot office that we were working with a shitty mic, you know what I mean? Or it was me posting on TikTok every single day, getting, 10, 15 likes. And then over time, that just becoming like now you come into our office, most people are saying, I found you on TikTok, and that's such a shift. So I think a long-winded answer is there were some big moments, but Matt and I have done a really good job of pivoting when we see something gaining popularity. So with YouTube, we were like, this is a great way for us to educate. Let's put a lot of our time and effort into that. Then it was Meta ads is blowing up and no one in the industry is doing it. Let's jump into that. Then it was, what is TikTok? Is it just for, kids 15 years old, or is this a business opportunity here? Let's jump into that. So we've done a good job of not being like set in our ways, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned about the competition, right? And there is the competition is increasing, by the days, by the hours.
Yeah.
How do you guys, now that I feel like the industry now has looked to you guys to see how you guys go about things, right? And they're using you guys for inspiration. What do you do now to differentiate Scalp Micro USA from the competitors in such a rapidly growing industry?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, there's a lot of really good, talented artists. I mean, like that's a good thing for us, because what you don't want is, this is a treatment that is fairly low barrier to entry. You don't need to be an MD to do it, right? And so you run the risk where everyone in the industry is hurt if the quality of work is low, just because that one person that did a deep dive, saw 5 companies, and then saw one company that botched, and they were like, you know what, this isn't for me, even if those other companies did a good job. And so we need the quality of work to stay high. And, that's why Matt and I and a lot of other really good artists have focused on training and trying to train people the right way. But, I think for us, it's always a staple of what we do is always the quality of work. Everything that we're putting out is like best of breed. And it's not because, we think we have obviously the best artists and great work, but it's because people watch us for a long period of time. So most of the times people don't book right away. I mean, they're watching us maybe for a month, 6 months, a year, 2 years. I mean, you can't believe the stories of like the people like, I've seen every one of your videos and I've just been watching you for 2 years. And so you need to make sure that the quality of work is just so high. And that people are like, okay, I've now seen 100 clients. They all look great. Now is my time. Like, this is what it is. So I think the quality of work is certainly there. And, we have a big team now. We have 5 locations, but, we purposely didn't grow into, 15, 20 locations across the US because we wanted to make sure that our standard of work stayed the same. And that if you come to one of our clinics, you're getting that same quality of work, no matter which one you go to. And that's, when you scale really quickly, that's a hard thing to maintain.
I'm looking at this from both ways, because to hear you say, I know you guys had the opportunity, if you wanted, to probably have a clinic in every state, but then to hear you say why you guys kind of held off on that because you wanted to maintain the quality, it I guess it kind of puts me like in the middle, because right, like as a businessman, it's kind of like, but why not, right? But as an SMP artist, I also could understand why, because it's kind of like you don't want to be contributing to the problem that we're seeing now, right? Like places are just popping up all over, and they're just putting someone in there just so that they can say, hey, I have a new location in Florida. And now the guy that's in Florida holds a 3-day training and tells the student, hey man, where you coming from? Oh, you from Texas? Hey man, you want to open up like your own clinic? So like I can see it from both perspectives. And I guess that's commendable that you guys don't want to be part of the problem. And I can understand even more why you wouldn't want to be, because there's so much eyes on you guys. Like, a lot of us do look to you guys. And I've told this to Matt. I mean, you were there when I interviewed him in person. I was like, believe it or not, man, like we're all looking at you to see how it is, that this should be done.
Right. And I think, Matt and I both like hold ourselves to a high standard. And I've always felt that the work is going to speak volumes, and that, I like to think I'm a good marketer, but I'm nothing without great work. I mean, that's just the truth of it, right? Like I can't sell a bad product, can't sell a bad service. It just won't work. You only get so far, right? And so you have to have really good quality work. Obviously experience and years and things like that. We certainly lean into a lot, but it definitely is something that we've said, okay, if we're going to grow, it's going to be with the right people that we feel can uphold, all the standards that we set and have made us, successful along the years.
You mentioned you got to have good work in order for you to sell it. So for SMP artists, and these are for the artists that are putting out good work, right? We're not talking to you botch monsters out there. We're talking to the SMP artists who are putting out good work, but they're struggling to get clients. What are the top 3 marketing tactics that you would recommend that they start with immediately?
Yeah. So, and I've done this exercise for a lot of people that have come into our training. And so there's so many different ways you can go this route. And there's not necessarily like a right or wrong answer, but with our industry, what I've found to be the first thing is, number one, you have to have a good functioning website, or at the minimum, like a landing page. And the reason for that is because, yes, a lot of things are done on social, and that's great. And some people build their business solely on Instagram, but we just come from the frame of thought that like people are still searching for this treatment. And if you don't have a website locally, you're done, right? Because they may find you on Instagram and then they go to check you out. Maybe they want a little bit more in-depth information and they go to your website. If you don't have a great website, or it's out of date, or doesn't rank, and 5 of your competitors do, then that's a problem, right? And you're going to miss out on really high quality leads too, because people that are searching for it, I mean, anybody in marketing is kind of regurgitated the same thing, but it's true, is that people that are searching for something, they're higher quality leads because they're searching for it right now. There's intent, and they're searching for something specifically, like they're searching for a problem they want a solution to, as opposed to Instagram, which is just like a scroll, right? Like you hope to stop the thumb and get their attention on their explore page or on the For You page or something like that, right? Where someone sees something, is like, oh, I didn't know this existed, let me deep dive. But for someone that's searching for like scalp micropigmentation near me, I mean, there's not a better quality of customer outside of a referral that you can get. So if you don't have the foundation of having a great website, that is step one. And I always tell people that, that I speak to, is like, it doesn't need to be this extravagant, costly build out. It can be, something that you build on Wix or Squarespace using a template. Just get it there so that you have a good functioning website. They can get some keywords starting to rank, and you're at least, competing against the people that do it. If you have a website, I always say in our trainings, like, are you willing to put it on the big screen right now? And if the answer is no, then we got work to do, right?
And that's their work you're talking about, right? Are you willing to take your SMP work and put it on the big screen?
Yeah. And that's a big part of it. So that's where I would start. And I think 1A or 2 would definitely be Google My Business, because that functions into it as well. Like, local search is so important. People want to see that, like, that map pack of, the top 3 people for any service or product or restaurant that they're looking for. It's such a huge benefit. You're automatically ranking to the top of the page because the map is always, within the top 3 sections. And so if you can control your website and rank really well, and you do Google Maps, and you have your map pack, you're already so ahead of the curve. After you have a great website and you set up a Google My Business, then that's the time where you can say, okay, what social media platform do I want to leverage to start getting leads from other places? Typically, Instagram is a great place to start.
In a crowded industry, how do you stand out and attract more clients? Introducing SMP Compare by Team Micro, the world's most popular SMP platform with over 3,000 visitors every day, all searching for trusted artists like you. Clients can contact you directly, no middleman, no delays. just pure connection and trust. From flawless hairline designs to 5-star reviews, SMP Compare lets you highlight what makes your business exceptional. And here's the best part. It's affordable. Just 1 or 2 new clients a year and it pays for itself. Today's clients value transparency and convenience. Be on a platform that delivers both. Join SMP Compare and make it easier than ever for your clients to choose you. Sign up now at teammicro.com and grow your business with the best in the industry. Today, I want to talk to you about something crucial for your SMP business, where you get your tools. It's not just about having the right tools. It's about getting them from a source you can trust. And that's why I recommend Palms Fashion. Palms Fashion has been serving professionals since 1991 right here in the heart of New York City. As a family-run business, they've built a reputation for providing new and authentic products to licensed professionals around the world. And now they're taking it a step further by offering scalp micropigmentation supplies so you can get everything you need in one place. They're an official distributor of the biggest names in the industry: Andis, Wall, Babyliss, Stylecraft, Ink You Care, and more. These are the brands we trust to deliver flawless results, and Palms Fashions ensures you're getting genuine products with full warranties, plus S&P supplies you need to keep your business running smoothly. Your tools and supplies are an investment in your craft and your success as an S&P artist. So don't just buy from anywhere. Trust the experts at Palms Fashion. Whether you're in New York City or shopping online at palmsfashioninc.com, they've got everything you need to take your business to the next level. Remember, trust the best, trust Palms Fashion.
It's the easiest, but I've seen definitely the most immediate success with TikTok, just because the effect of virality is so crazy. I mean, we talked about it in the presentation that I gave. Is like, you have one video, same video that you post on Instagram, and maybe it does well, does okay, right? It's good content. You post that same video on TikTok, you could get millions of views, and that translates to real paying customers. So the opportunity is definitely there. So I would say website, then focus on local, which is Google My Business, and then either an Instagram or a TikTok. Just getting your name out there, getting your face out there, and making sure that you have some sort of presence on social. The last part of that is, once you've checked all those boxes, then you can start looking at paid ads. And I think that that's one of the biggest mistakes that people make, is that they go to paid ads too early. I always say, if you're running ads and you're spending that money and you're driving them to a landing page or a website that isn't something that you would want as a customer, like put yourself in the customer's shoes, you're burning the cash, you're burning the money. You've lost before you even started. And so I think that paid ads is huge. Obviously, we leverage paid ads tremendous amount at Scalp, but there are things that you should be doing before you get to paid ads in order to really take that to the next level.
A lot of new artists, they hesitate with marketing because of budget concerns, right? Now that you're talking about paid ads, what's your advice for those who want to get noticed, but they don't have a large budget to work with?
Yeah, and I've seen this mistake. So I've done a lot of like Google ads audits for customers, and like they'll be running like $15 a day performance max campaigns on Google Ads, or like $10 a day on Meta ads. And the truth of it is that if you don't have the adequate budget to really pay for a converting customer, they shouldn't be advertising, right? Because if, let's say, you get 100 leads and 10 of them convert, right? Like your cost for that, 100 leads, let's say it's $1,000, like that's $100 per. So if you're spending, if your cost per conversion is $120 per, as just an example, you're losing money, even though you're converting customers. So you have to really understand the numbers and the analytics that go behind it, because you could burn through money. And I think that's the biggest complaint that I've heard for people that start with marketing companies, is that they've like wasted so much money and you didn't see the results. Yeah. But I think a lot of that might happen with the expectation of what that looks like. And so like someone that doesn't have, X budget, let's say it's like $1,500 a month is typically where I like to start, where I'm comfortable, then it might not be something that you should entertain just yet until you feel comfortable working through, a budget where you can say, okay, I can forecast at least breaking even with this. But Scalp, and this is kind of like diving into the weeds a little bit, but Scalp is expensive. I mean, it's not cheap. If you're advertising on Google Ads, yeah, sure, you can pay for a cheap, impression, but you're going to be so low on the totem pole that doesn't really make sense to even advertise, right? Like you're not going to be near top of bid, and you're not going to have that same like quality share. And so it's like, okay, is it worth it? Like, do I have the right budget for what I'm trying to do? And so I think budget's a big factor that goes into it. If you don't have the budget for ads, you can go into different platforms that might be a little cheaper. So like Facebook ads, Instagram ads typically end up being more cost effective than Google ads. So you could potentially start there, as opposed to like, maybe just like saying like, okay, let's do a combination of both. But I think you need to be realistic of like what your business is bringing in and what percentage of profit you want to allocate toward advertising.
Now, you mentioned that is this like an average that you're suggesting? Like, if you don't have what it takes to play, if you don't have the $1,500, you don't think that this is the pool they should be swimming in then?
I mean, you could probably get away with less, but I wouldn't. And it's just because it's so hard. Like the marketers that say like, I'm going to get you like 20 to 30 paying clients. It's like, how? Like, and that's just me coming from like a real operator of the business.
Like, I was going to say like you run the operations of a business, of the business. So like you can ask these questions because you're like, what do you know that I don't?
You can't spend $1,000 and get 30 paying clients. If you can, then like,
yeah, God bless
then
you.
you're doing something. I mean, maybe you have months like that, but it's, that there's a cost to acquire. And typically that cost to acquire is, anywhere from 10, 15, 20, 30, upwards of $100, depending on the person that you're trying to acquire. And so there's a cost to do that. So if you're only spending $10 a day, and let's say in your specific market, it costs like $3 a click, then you're only getting 3 clicks a day if you're only spending $10. And how much people can you actually convert off of that? So I think that's what people, it's not like you can't do it. Like I definitely have seen and worked with customers that have like a $30 a day budget, and you make it work and you spread it thin, and you just focus on very specific things. But yeah, it is a game where you need a certain threshold in order to play in it. Otherwise, it just won't make sense. And that's okay. It might not be time to go into that just yet. It might be time for you to focus on things that are free. Like you can build a website for free. You can build a monster Google My Business page for free. You can do a lot of content on Instagram for free, TikTok free. Like I would be hammering those to start if you don't have the budget to afford, paying for paid ads.
With the obviously now we're going into social proof, right? And it's important, right? So I would say like testimonials, reviews, before and after photos, right? These are all things that you could leverage for free, right? And help scale your SMP business. What do you think would be the best way to leverage your social proof when it comes to testimonials, reviews, and before and after photos?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you that it's a great like firsthand experience. Whenever I'm in the clinic, and I talk to people, and they're like, "I came here because I saw a guy who looked just like me and had a hairline that I wanted." Or I've watched every single one of your videos, Matt. I feel like I know you. We've already won. Like the whole, we haven't even talked about like, the buying cycle of like, okay, great, you get the lead. But then what does that process look like? And what does that consultation look like? All of that matters. That's one of the biggest parts of how we've been successful is that customer journey from start to finish. Because it's not just about getting the lead. It's about then what happens to the lead once they hit your system. But I think going back to testimonials and reviews, it's like that social proof, and it's like buzzy words, but it really, like, that's how it translates is people come to us and they say, like, I saw your video that you did with TJ and I just, like, I loved it. Like, I liked your vibe. Like, you seemed like a cool guy and like the hairline is exactly what I want. And then they'll show you photos of the guys on your Instagram that they want to replicate. There's just no better salesperson that you could ever have than having a real customer who's talking and selling your product for you. And the same thing with reviews. Give a shout out to our guy, Max, in New York, who just hammers reviews. He gets reviews from like every single one of his customers. And over time, he just continues to get busier and busier because people see him all over reviews. And so booking through like people that share their story and your story is something that we've leveraged a lot. We used to shoot like at least like 1 to 3 long form YouTube videos of like long journeys from start to finish with all of like our testimonial guys. And those stories that they made a big difference, and people take the time to watch them and hear them. And because, hair loss it's an emotional thing. And I think that in this day and age, everything's really fast, and obviously TikTok and Instagram, and you have to adapt to that. But our ability to tell long stories has definitely benefited us in the long run.
Yeah. And I tell this, I speak to a lot of artists. I get a lot of the new guys coming up. They hit me up, obviously, because of the platform, and they know that I speak to guys like you and some of the other artists that are successful. And a lot of them don't believe in the social proof. They have this misconception of like, well, you know what? As long as I'm pumping money into ads like Google and Facebook, I'm gonna be okay because I'm already directly putting it in people's face. And then here you are letting us know how you guys have in fact, and so this is I'm assuming it's still a strategy that you guys use, leveraging your social proof to close on clients. Like, it's a must.
I'm a big believer in filling up your eggs in multiple baskets. I think that there's, like I said, with marketing, it's such a beautiful thing because there's so many ways to do this. Like, you could just build your business on Instagram, just focus on that, and that's fine. But I've always said, I wanted to, if I think of it like if I'm getting 1,000 leads a month, like, where are those 1,000 leads coming from? Well, it's not going to be just from paid ads because you're going to be paying a fortune. So I have to be able to get leads from all different places. And some months you're going to have a lot more, leads from ads. And then other months you might be filling up that basket with some viral content that you shot on TikTok. And so the more leads you can get from multiple places, the better you're going to have long-term success. And so I think that with what we've done is we say, hey, the importance of sharing our customer stories is so critical, but also all that stuff goes back into paid ads. I mean, like, our landing page has a video of all of our guys telling like their story, like leveraging video and like that social on a landing page is something that we do a lot of. So all the stuff that you do to storytell and to get, real clients and real results and real emotions can all be fed back into your paid initiatives. But if you're just relying on one thing, if that one thing stops or slows down, then you're not diversifying enough. And so that's why we always try to do multiple things as much as we can do, as much as we can bear. And get leads from all different places.
You've done a phenomenal job in taking Scalp Micro USA and turning it into an international brand. But now you're launching your own marketing business. can we talk about that? Because I'm sure once people hear this is gonna, it's gonna raise some like attention. They're gonna be like, whoa, what's going on here? Right? This guy's, are we gonna get the real sauce? Because I could only imagine, I don't want to come at
What am
this
I? What
from
am I
like
giving you the Stop and Shop brand stuff?
Right? Yeah, right. Because I mean, you have to agree with me to a certain point, because it's like people are gonna think, right, and the, I hate to say this, but the community sometimes is just filled with some ignorant team players, right? So this is gonna be like, all right, are we gonna get Scalp Micro USA, Keith, or are we gonna get Broadway and 28th Street, fake pair of Calvin Klein jeans, enough to pay my my overhead? Keith, tell us a little bit about the services that you're gonna be offering, Keith, and not only that, not only the services that you're gonna be offering, but who is your ideal client that you want to be working with?
Yeah. No, it's a good question. I mean, listen, I think what you're talking about is like gatekeeping, right? Like, I wouldn't. There's no point in doing this if that's like how this is going to start. Like, it has to be, like, I mean, let me take a step back. I love helping companies grow and make money. Like, at its core tenet, that's like what I'm most interested in Scalp and business in general. Like, that's like, people always say, why didn't you learn, how to, how to do this, how to, dot heads, right? And I say, like, as much as that's your passion, like, this is mine. And so I've always wanted to do this. This has been something that, has been kind of like years in the making, but just came at a right time. And I've just talked to so many artists and so many companies that just need help. They're really good artists. They have great work, and they just struggle to get the guidance and the know-how to like actually have a system set up to run a business effectively. And I think one of the biggest things is just the trust factor of just knowing that, we've done it before. There's a formula that does work. And we're just trying to understand what everyone's business is going through and then coming up with a plan. But the structure is going to be kind of pretty straightforward in the start. So we're going to focus on aggressive lead gen, building out really comprehensive and converting landing pages, and using paid ads to drive leads to those landing pages, whether that's Google Ad, whether that's Meta. And then from there, building out custom CRM systems so that people can effectively manage the leads. Because one of the biggest things that I think is missed through all of this is you could have the best ad in the world, you could have the best creative, but then what happens when that lead fills out the form and says like, yes, contact me? That's where the work starts. And I think that if I were to say like, what's the biggest thing? Like, should I do this on social media? Should I create this content? It's like almost every person that I've spoken to before I even launched this company and after, that's the biggest thing. I say like, just I'm your customer. How does it work? And when you start doing that, you see that the gaps and the holes are huge. And it's like, you might be doing social media right. Like, you might have the right ads, but if you don't have that component, you're missing out on a lot. Yeah. So that's been my focus. My big focus is really building out like that super custom to this industry and what I know has worked, like different automations that work really well. How do we get leads from filling out a form to ghosting us? Right? That happens all the time. Oh, you think you're going to convert every single lead? No, right? Like they go away for 6 months. How do we get those people from warm leads to hot leads and hot leads to paying customers? And I think that there is a formula that I've used and that I've worked with. And so that technology part of it has been something that I've been taking like the time to really build out. And I'm super excited to deploy it. In terms of who I'm going to be working with, SMP, but also PMU. I mean, PMU artists is a huge category for me, and I've met so many great PMU artists, and am going to be launching with 2 PMU artists probably in like 2 weeks. And so the same methodology applies to that business as well. But certainly, obviously, SMP artists and Scalp is going to be a big part of this.
That's awesome. That must be like super exciting for you now, right? Because
Yeah.
it's like I know you know what you're capable of, right? And I can't help but ask this question. This is a little, it's kind of a funny question, but have you ever thought? And this is not I know you're not a cocky guy, right? You're very like down to earth, humble dude. But do you think, knowing what you know now, right, and having proof and concept of what you're capable of, if you had decided that becoming an SMP artist was something that you wanted to do you believe that you'd be able to take Keith Myers and catapult him to like the top of the SMP industry with what you
Look, it's such a funny question because, like, I listen. I've done 2 melons, and both have blowouts, so I got a heavy hand, man.
It's not happening. It's not happening.
Well, I think it's whether it's me actually doing it or whether it's promoting other artists. I mean, that's what we've done. We've taken new artists, we've taken established artists, and we've helped to build up the business. And I think it's like core having a structure that works, having a foundation that doesn't have holes in it, so that like the business just runs seamlessly. And then it's the creative stuff, which is also fun. Of like just I know a lot of what works in social media, different tactics to help with local SEO. So that's part of it as well. It's like giving them the foundation, helping them with ads, so that they're not going to be getting a lot of like unknowns, making it very, very clear as to what the strategy is before we deploy it, making sure the budget is there, and not doing anything without the full understanding of like what the expectations are. Because I think that's also been like a misconception. I'm starting to work with a lot of people that were like, oh, they said on a budget of like $900 a month, I can get 40 clients. And I'm like, that math just, the new kids say like the math doesn't math. It doesn't math. Like it doesn't. So you have to like be very realistic of like what this looks like and long term. But yeah, I mean, I think to answer your question, if I was, really good at doing SMP, this same logic would certainly apply. If I started like Myers, oh God, SMP, forget it.
Myers Inc.
No way.
Myers Inc.
just doesn't sound right,
So how is it going to work? Is it going to be like a subscription base? Is it coming more like, all right, if I'm interested in this, am I paying you because now you're mentoring me? Are you doing Google ads for me, Facebook ads? Is there different types of tiers? Like, can you talk to more about that?
Yeah, for sure. So there's going to be kind of like a standard tier, which is Google Meta ads, going into a landing page that we're going to build custom, going into a CRM that's going to be proprietary, just made for you, building out automations so that you can feel and look a lot bigger. We were talking about, using AI as well. That's going to be a huge part of this, and just streamlining the customer support and the sales side of the business, because a lot of these are solo entrepreneurs and they don't have, a team of people. And so how do we maximize what we're doing with a very, very small, tight team? And so that's going to be kind of step one. And then, there'll be other tiers for people that maybe aren't looking for paid ads, but maybe want some guidance in other things. But I think that core structure of ads into landing pages, into a CRM is where I want to start. I'm not really going to be getting into like doing any sort of creative for people. That takes so much time, and there's a lot of really excellent video editors, and I know you do a lot of video editing. That's my world is lead gen, so I'm gonna focus on
Stay in your lane.
Stay in my lane.
Looking ahead, how do you think the SMP marketing landscape is evolving, and what trends should artists be aware of and stay ahead of?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think people now, like before, it was like, maybe I'm doing a little bit of Instagram and I have a website. I think people now, like they're doing a lot of really right things. Like they're doing good things. So maybe they have a website and they have a Google My Business. If they're doing a little bit of ads and they have a good Instagram account. So if you're just kind of like trying to figure out like where to navigate, it really is like looking at the business side of things. It's looking at like your operations, which most people, don't want to deal with. But like the more of a seamless, easy process you can make for your customer, the more likely that you're going to be able to convert more people to the business. And so you might have an amazing Instagram, but unless you have a system in place, you're doing yourself a disservice. So I think people are going to start focusing on that aspect of it, of like, okay, cool, I have a pretty good Instagram following. I know what I'm doing on TikTok. I'm starting to make some content. I have a website. Now what? And it's really filling those gaps into the structure of what happens when a lead comes in. Am I working my clients as well? Because don't forget, we've been in business for so long now that we get a lot of touch-ups. That's a nice part of the business for us. Yeah. So I think people need to start thinking about the next. I'd also say specifically for SMP, I think less like strategy on the marketing side and more so the services. So I think that people are going to start focusing on, scalp and scar, density fills, female clientele, alopecia, and all the different ways that scalp can be utilized, as opposed to just going after like the straight round curved hairline, right? Like there's a lot of ways that this can be applied to different areas of hair loss, beards as well. So I think that that's kind of going to be the next tenet for people that already have like a good business of like, okay, how can I leverage these other services? So again, if it's just a numbers game, maybe I'm getting 2 alopecia clients a month, 5 scars, and then 10 SMP clients. Like, okay, great. That's a healthy schedule as opposed to just relying on like the next, like full hair loss client that you can convert.
For artists, and before I want to get this one out before we wrap it up, right? For artists that are looking to scale their business in 2025, what's one piece of advice, just one piece of advice that you'd give them to set themselves apart and increase bookings? And it can't be anything that has to do with renting a Lamborghini, including it in your video, and telling people that if they take your training, they too can live this lifestyle. Okay, it can't have anything to do with that.
Does this mean you're gonna have to return your Lambo?
Actually, yeah. I didn't even have it overnight. I did the 2-hour rental. That's all I need. For one reel.
Oh my God. Yeah. Listen, I mean, every business is different, and if that, you got to go with what works. Lambo is never. Lambo is never in our strategy, but that's also, it's not Matt and it's not me, and it's never, it didn't fit what we were trying to do. I think there's a marketing answer, and then there's a regular answer, and I think the regular answer for SMP is like, do everything humanly possible to increase the quality of your work, because at the end of the day, your marketing is only as good as the results that you show. If you have a great landing page that we build and the results are, like maybe not amazing, like you're going to have a lot of fall off. And so really working super, super hard to get the technique right, using the right products, and just getting yourself to be as good of an artist as possible. I mean, I've been in marketing for 10 years now, and I'm always learning. I'm doing more trainings now than I ever have. Like at night, my wife and I were doing like, different things, and we're trying to learn and trying to advance ourselves. So you can't just, just stop learning. That in my opinion is the wrong way of looking at the business, and it applies to every business, and it certainly applies to Scalp. There's always different techniques, different things that you can do to perfect your craft. So that if you're looking at one thing, that has to be it. If it's one thing on the marketing side, it's understanding your business operations and where some of the gaps are. Because I'm telling you right now, every single person that I'm talking to, when you ask, tell me the customer story and journey from the time they fill out your lead to how they get you, it's like, it's all over the place. And if you just streamline that and make that super simple and easy, it's hard. It's so, I always say this, when a buying process is easy, there's a lot of work that went into that. There's a lot of back end that made something so seamless and simple. And it is a lot of work. And if you're doing heads and you're answering phone calls, you don't have the time to map that out. So I think it's going to be less like in years past, I would have said like, do Instagram, do TikTok, like get more on the creative side. I think all that stuff is important, but I think now as the business evolves, you're going to see a lot of people taking a look at what that journey looks like. Is it flawed, and can we fix it?
Yeah, I agree. And I think I'm going to be your first. I think I'm going to be your first SMP. First SMP client.
Let's do it.
Keith, before we wrap things up, can you let the listeners know where they can go to connect with you, whether it be to just ask you some questions or if they want your marketing services?
Yeah. So best thing to do is hit me up on Instagram. It's corporate.keith. Just shoot me a DM.
Corporate Keith.
Corporate
baby.
Keith. Yeah, man. That's it. So yeah, just hit me a DM. We'll start there. We're building, a website and all that stuff. But right now we're just in, phase one, and I'm super excited. I think this is going to help a lot of artists, and I'm just excited to work with people and help them grow their business the right way.
Outstanding. Keith, I appreciate you, brother, for taking out some time from your busy schedule to jump on the podcast and drop some gems for us, which I know guys and girls are gonna hear this, and they're gonna get their juices flowing, and they're gonna want more. So maybe we could either do a part 2, or we just gonna have to send them your way, and they gotta pay to play after this.
Anytime you want, man. I'm ready.
Excellent. Guys, that's gonna wrap it up for this episode of the Scalp Solutions Podcast. Until the next time, peace.
What's up, everyone? David Santiago here. Let's talk about taking your SMP business to the next level with Guild Payment Solutions. Cash is king, but what happens when your client doesn't have cash? That's where a reliable credit card processing solution comes in. With Guild Payment Solutions, you can securely accept cards, manage transactions, and get paid faster, whether you're running a studio or selling products online. It's more than just convenience, it's a business upgrade. Credit card processing builds trust, keeps your finances organized, and ensures that you never lose a paying client. Don't hold your business back. Visit guildpaymentsolutions.com today and see how they can transform the way you operate your SMP business. Ever wonder what keeps me focused and energized during long SMP sessions and Scalp Solutions podcast? It's Wava Water. Wava isn't just water, it's a whole new experience. It combines lightly caffeinated sparkling water with binaural beats of sound frequencies and music. Together, they help boost creativity, productivity, and focus. And here's the best part. It's as refreshing as it is delicious. So, whether you're creating that perfect hairline for a client or tuning in to elevate your SMP game with the Scalp Solutions podcast, Wava Water keeps you refreshed and ready to perform at your best. Because great work starts with great tools and great hydration. Wava Water. Refresh your focus, boost your confidence. Find out more at wavawater.com.